All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we are taking a trip way back in time, straight into the sandy desert to uncover what is basically the most epic building project in human history. We're looking at a completely incredible story from the book of Exodus, chapter 36. Just picture this for a second. You've got a vast, sweeping desert under a blazing sun, and an entire nation of people teaming up to build something absolutely magnificent. The air is literally buzzing with excitement, and every single person has their own special part to play in this giant adventure.
Now, I've got to ask you, have you ever had too much of a good thing? Imagine opening up your toy box and so many brand new toys burst out of it that you literally can't even close the lid. Or maybe you're at a party and you've got so much delicious dessert on your plate that you actually have to tell people, "Whoa, stop giving me cake." Well, believe it or not, that is exactly the hilarious and pretty wonderful problem the Israelites faced during this massive desert project. They were sitting on a treasure pile that just would not stop growing.
Okay, let's move into section 1, meet the master builders.
So, here's the thing. God didn't just pick some random folks off the street for a job this huge. He specifically called upon two absolute superheroes of craftsmanship, and their names were Bezaleel and Oholi'av. These two, along with a whole crew of super eager workers whose hearts were just totally stirred up to help, were given genuine, God-given super skills. They were endowed with this unmatched wisdom and skill to create something flawlessly perfect. And it wasn't just about hammering nails into wood. It was about taking their ultimate creativity and using it for a massive, higher purpose. They were gearing up to turn basic, raw desert materials into a glowing, golden masterpiece.
Moving right along to section 2, the overstuffed offering box.
To actually build this breathtaking sanctuary, obviously, they needed materials. But the way the people responded, completely mind-blowing. The Israelites showed this radical, joyful obedience and generosity that you rarely ever see. Every single morning, as that bright Egyptian sun came up, people joyfully hauled in so much sparkling gold, shiny silver, and colorful yarn that the builders actually had to stop what they were doing. The master craftsmen literally put down their tools, marched right over to Moses and were like, "Hey, the people are bringing way more than we could ever use. Our hands are full and the storage boxes are totally overflowing."
It got so out of hand that Moses actually had to make a public announcement. In his loudest, booming voice, he pretty much yelled, "Stop bringing stuff," because, well, they had way more than enough. He sent a strict order through the entire camp, telling everyone to just hit the brakes and stop bringing offerings. They actually had to be restrained from giving because the treasure was spilling everywhere. And honestly, this is such a cool moment. It shows a leader having the true integrity and boundaries to say, "Okay, we have enough," rather than just greedily taking more and more. What an amazing problem to have, right?
All right, section 3, crafting the colorful curtains.
So with a swoosh of bright thread and the clink of shiny gold, these highly skilled artisans got straight to work. First off, they wove these massive 42-foot-long sheets using the most brilliant blue, purple, and scarlet yarn you can imagine. Then, they crafted these majestic winged creatures called cherubims straight into the fabric itself. Finally, they brought it all together by connecting the sheets using 50 blue loops and 50 solid gold fasteners, clicking the whole thing into place to make one giant, beautifully colorful tent. It was basically this dazzling woven rainbow just shining out there in the dusty desert.
But let's be real. When you're out in a sandy, windy desert, you need some serious protection. To keep all this beautiful work safe, they layered the sanctuary. First, they threw over a heavy-duty tent made completely out of goat's hair, clipped tightly together with super strong bronze fasteners. Then, for the absolute ultimate shield, they layered an outer covering made of tanned ram skins and heavy, fine leather right on top of that. It was basically like throwing a giant, unbreakable raincoat over their priceless artwork. There was no way a desert storm was getting past that defense.
Next up, section 4, building the golden walls.
Okay, just imagine holding a single piece of wood that is literally taller than a house. The craftsmen had to hoist up these towering 15-foot-long planks of ultra-strong acacia wood. And get this, they covered every single one of these gigantic planks in pure gold so they would catch the desert sun. Then they dropped them down into massive silver bases. You can almost hear the mighty thud of that solid wood and silver hitting the sandy ground, right? It was, without a doubt, the strongest foundation ever built.
Now, to build out the walls, they set up 20 of these gleaming gold planks for the south side, dropping them into heavy silver sockets. Then 20 more for the north side, plus 8 special planks just for the back wall. And to make absolutely certain that these walls would never, ever wobble in a heavy desert wind, they locked all these giant planks together. They used these long, gold-covered crossbars that slid right through golden rings attached to the wood. It was the ultimate, unbreakable, interlocking puzzle where every single piece just magically fit together perfectly.
Finally, they added the finishing, artistic touches to the sanctuary. They hung this breathtaking, multicolored entrance screen created by a master weaver using that exact same brilliant blue, purple, and scarlet yarn. They suspended it on stunning gold-covered posts that rested inside bright bronze sockets, and with that, they completed the most magnificent, colorful, and completely glorious building the desert had ever seen. I mean, it must have stood out like a brilliant, glowing jewel right in the middle of all that sand.
Which brings us to our final part, Section 5, 3 Golden Lessons. So what does this whole epic story mean for us? Well, it leaves us with 3 huge takeaways. First up, radical generosity. The Israelites really show us the sheer power of joyful obedience and a willing heart. When you give with joy. Second, good boundaries. Moses gave us a masterclass in true leadership by having the integrity to say, hey, enough is enough, proving that doing God's work doesn't mean being greedy with resources. And third, skill as worship. Bezaleel and Aholiab totally prove that our unique creative talents, whether you love building, drawing, coding, or problem solving, are actually gifts. They're meant to be used for a much greater, beautiful purpose.
So, I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on. What super skills do you have right now, and how can you use them to build something wonderfully generous in the world today? Thank you so much for joining me on this awesome animated adventure through the desert. Keep learning, keep building, and don't forget to click the bell button, like, share, and subscribe.